Let me tell you something, as fun as it is to make short content every week, but not YouTube Shorts, so I'm not going to the dark side, it can feel restricting, since much is required to boil a video down to a very small time frame. Even if this doesn't necessarily need to happen, I'm able to write full and finished scripts in less than an hour for these videos, get done filming it in about the same time. So I'm eager for a change of pace and want to make more longer videos like this one. No, this doesn't mean this channel will completely change to making longer videos. We'll just be doing more of these, rather than sticking solely to what you've been seeing the past few weeks. First off, I've always been interested in film for as long as I can remember, but only in recent years have I gotten more into film analysis. I haven't really talked about this interest of mine on my channel, but since last week's video humorously covering the Oscars, a fire's been lit under me to discuss my love for film with you guys. A good amount of my subscribers know me personally and know at least some of the movies that'll appear on this list, but some may be a surprise to even them. Anyways, let's jump right in.
Number 5.
Earlier this year, my grade read the book Frankenstein by Mary Shelley in Language Arts, and I have to admit, it was really good. After my grade finished the book, our teacher gave us choice on which film adaptation of the book we wanted to watch. Both classes chose The Bride of Frankenstein, so we watched it during class over a span of 2 days. And I honestly didn't think it would be this good, but I was shocked that it turned out to be. It is masterful in every possible way. The film exemplifies the monsters less humane than the book, but more than the first film. While in the first film, the monster throws a girl into the river.
No, you're hurting me! No!
Do it.
In The Bride of Frankenstein, the monster saves a girl from drowning, similarly to the book. The scene where the blind man welcomes the monster into his house actually made me cry. Yes, I am capable of feeling emotions. The film also expertly symbolizes director James Whale's sexuality, with society's rejection of the monster being a metaphor for society's treatment of gay people. My only issue with The Bride of Frankenstein was that it could have been a little more faithful to the book, but still managed to be good regardless, and was just slightly more accurate to Mary Shelley's writings than the first movie was. Anyways, really good film, totally recommend it. Go check it out if you haven't already. It's about as old as my grandmother, actually. I don't think you need to know that, but whatever.
No, this is good. Smoke. You try.
Smoke every day.
Number 4.
I really don't have much of an interest in more recent film, mostly because the big budget ones are constantly being pushed to people, and big studios like Disney tend to cut corners without attempting to make a good film very often. And if you told me 6 months ago that I'd be singing the praises of Tollywood epic action historical drama half a year later, I'd question your sanity. But as luck would have it, this happened somehow through RRR. This film is everything you could want and even more. The action sequences disobey physics perfectly in ways you couldn't imagine without witnessing this masterpiece for yourself, mixing it all in with a tragic story about the dangers of imperialism, the everlasting bond of friendship, and I hope it can come through from the most unlikely sources. And the music. Oh god, the music. Every song is an absolute banger, and the score itself is majestic, matching its environment, managing to stay on point throughout RRR's relatively justified 3-hour runtime. A small issue with RRR is that the romance between Beam and Jenny should have been a bit more fleshed out, if not completely removed from the plot, because it contributed little to the overall story and was really just there instead of playing a bigger role. But I still recommend it to anyone who can get past some of the more mature parts of the film.
Not salsa, not flamenco, my brother. Do you know?
Amogus.
Hey, yo, what the And his name is And his name is
Number 3.
I saw this film literally at the end of 2022, hours before the ball dropping. I gotta admit, it deserves all of its acclaim, and I was surprised to learn that it received mixed reviews upon release, and only attained positive recognition in the years after. Put simply, Clint Eastwood movie went hard. But seriously, I really enjoyed this film. I am of course talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly. If you're in the market for character development, maybe this isn't your cup of tea, as the 3 main characters stay mostly the same throughout the film. Then why, you might ask, does this qualify for my 3rd favorite film of all time? Because everything is done with reason. See, the reason that the main characters don't evolve during the story is because the film is choosing to neglect that in favor of directing the audience's focus towards the breaking down of traditional stereotypes in Western film. Before The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Westerns tend to be very one-dimensional. Good guy's good, bad guy's bad. The good, also known as Blondie, also known as Man with No Name, is not actually that heroic. He and the Ugly, also known as Tuco, run a scam from town to town. Tuco commits some crimes, Blondie turns him in, collects his bounty, breaks him out, and repeat in a different town. The Bad, also known as Angel Eyes, is pretty villainous throughout the movie and uses horrific methods to gain what he desires. However, he's shown to sympathize with wounded soldiers. Speaking of, the film does great in its anti-war stance. The movie takes place in 1862, during the Civil War, and the battle scene expertly shows how pointless war is. Even the main characters themselves understand its futility. In the final duel in the graveyard, amazing. It is often parodied, and rightly so, an iconic scene. There's also the epic score, written by none other than Ennio Morricone. I have to admit, it is one of my personal favorites. I could go on all day about this film, but maybe I should move on to the next film on my list.
See you soon. Idiots. It's for you.
Number 2.
I'm just gonna say it, Who Framed Roger Rabbit is an all-timer. There's no simpler but more truthful way to express this, but you didn't click on this video to hear one sentence of praise, hopefully. Film isn't just a technical ecstasy in its perfect combination of 2D animation and live action, it also contains a very interesting murder mystery with themes of redemption, grief, and even racism, more on the last one later. In one shot during the opening scene alone, we learn a lot about a certain character, Eddie Valiant. His first line,
Tunes.
tells us that he, obviously, dislikes tunes. He then takes a sip of alcohol, conveying that he is an alcoholic. After that, he puts the bottle in his holster, showing us he values drinking over safety, even though guns don't keep you safe. Eddie himself hates tunes because a tune killed his brother Teddy. Throughout the film, Eddie's view on tunes changes. Anyways, not about the racism part. The tunes themselves are treated quite terribly. Toontown, where most of them reside, is at risk of being turned into a highway, which alludes to the practice of redlining. The performances are great as well, since he basically had a basis performance around something that would only be inserted during post-production. Christopher Lee's exceptional as Judge Doom, capturing the menacing attitude of his character expertly. Charles Fleischer is amazing as Roger Rabbit, and this all isn't even touching upon the other stellar performances in this film. I love Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and it surely is a masterpiece for the ages. However, there's just one film I love more.
I'm through with taking falls. I'm bouncing off the walls. Without that gun, I'd have some fun. I'd kick you in the...
Number 1.
If you were a bit disappointed that I didn't have any Spielberg on the list yet, just know there's a reason. Spielberg is probably my all-time favorite director, so it's clear why Raiders of the Lost Ark took a top spot on my top 5 list of great films. While it's not as philosophical or emotionally striking as some of the other films, it bears some of that, but on top of it all, it's just such a great movie. Every set piece is a journey of rebirth, and seeing Indy navigate his way through each is so thrilling. While it's more of a parody of 30s and 40s adventure serials, it still manages to be its own thing and turn up to 11 always. Somehow this film is never boring, a rarity in a movie, not just the ones I've seen. But I'm far from an action junkie. If that was true, then Bride of Frankenstein nor Roger Rabbit would be on this list. Raiders still is a good plot. However, I think that it also does a great job of showing how Indy's worldview changes throughout the film. He begins the story by looking down ancient cultures, but as the movie progresses, he becomes more enamored by their vast knowledge of the world's magic, which the antagonists, the Nazis, wait, can I say that on YouTube? Are consistently ignorant to. At the end of the film, he tells Marion,
Don't look at it. Shut your eyes, Mary, and don't look at it no matter what happens.
Belloc taught the other Nazis do not look away and they die gruesome deaths. I want to continue talking about how great Raiders is, but this video is pretty long as is, and I need to finish editing it on time.
There's a snake in my boot.
That was a long one. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe if you haven't, and or you enjoyed my scripted rant about film. As of recording this, we recently hit 30 subscribers, and thank you for that. It means the world to us that you enjoy our videos. 2023 is already shaping up to be a big year for us in terms of growing our channel. Once again, sorry about the delay for this video. It was a big project that clearly couldn't be completed fast enough, but we've gotten it out. In the future, we'll plan better. Anyways, I'm Matt Craft, and that's a wrap.